If you have an AR pistol in the state of California with a pistol brace on it, you could find yourself in trouble with the law. This right here is my any other weapon. This is not a pistol, this is not a rifle, this is not a shotgun. This is a Form 1 ATF registered any other weapon in the state of California. It's legal for me to do this. And if you don't do this, there is a very good rationale as to why your pistol brace in the state of California on your AR pistol could actually get you in a whole lot of trouble. We're going to be talking about this gun. I'm going to show you some shooting footage of it. We'll talk a little bit about how you get an AR pistol. We'll talk a little bit about this gun in general, and we'll talk about why you might want to get an any other weapon stamp so that, one, you can put a vertical foregrip on your under 26-inch overall length AR pistol in the state of California, and why you would actually want to do that to protect yourself from going to jail. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about this little 5-inch AR AOW that I have. Okay, so let's give you a little bit of an overview of this gun before we really get into why you would want to do this. Let's talk about how I acquired it and all that jazz. So this is it started its life out as an AR-15 pistol that I legally acquired in the state of California. You might be thinking to yourself, Reno, how do I even get an AR pistol legally in the state of California? Well, for starters, I have an entire playlist on AR pistols that should cover it in a whole lot of depth. If you don't want to watch that, here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to go to your gun store, and if they don't do custom single-shot exempt AR-15 pistols, you have a few options. My personal favorite would be to go with something like the Franklin Armory CA7. That is a bolt action repeating, bolt action meaning you have to charge the gun every time you want to shoot. You get one of those, you register it in your name by going through the DROS system. It's now your gun. It's an AR-15 pistol. Cool. But what if you want to make it semi-auto? Well, I talk about that a whole lot in depth in my AR-15 pistol playlist, but what you could do is make your gun fixed magazine. As you can see, I cannot drop the magazine when I press this button until I open the action ever so slightly. You see, I just open the action a little bit. I can then press that button, the magazine comes out. Well, that's pretty, it is what it is. Well, once you make it fixed magazine, then you can make it semi-auto, or at least that's my opinion. Some people have differing opinions. You are going to need to do your own research on that. I highly advise you watch my AR-15 playlist and my AR-15 pistol playlist. That's how you can acquire an AR-15 pistol. So once you do that, well, what's this whole talk about braces? Well, recently the ATF lost their court battle thanks to the Firearms Policy Coalition, and now braces federally are fine. Braces federally are generally not considered stocks if you're not intending to use it as a stock on a rifle. So we have our gun that started out as an AR-15 pistol. It's never been a rifle at any point in time. It did not start its life out as a rifle. It is a pistol. You put a brace on it, you made it fixed magazine, you made it semi-auto. Okay, well, what's the problem? Well, if your gun is under 26 inches of overall length, you legally, even if it's fixed magazine, cannot put a vertical foregrip on it. Well, why would I even want to deal with that when I can just simply not put a vertical foregrip on the gun? Well, there's a pretty good argument to be made, and we'll discuss that a little bit more. But first, we want to talk about what this gun is. Now, as everyone knows, Garand Thumb goes tip to butt, but on this channel, if you're a longtime viewer, you know that we go ass to mouth. So starting at the rear, we have an SBA3 brace. This one is adjustable. This brace is pretty good. We then have a law folding adapter on it. If you're going to get a folding adapter for an AR that needs a buffer tube, get the Law Tactical. Don't buy any knockoffs. You can go to Brownells, you can use code Reno, and you can save yourself a little bit of money. Now, the Law Tactical folding adapter is nice, but unfortunately, you can't really shoot this gun while folded because it does not cycle to the rear. You might be able to fire it once, but I would not recommend doing so, as long-term doing that can harm the gun. The lower receiver has a Radian Ambi safety on it that is configurable to be either short or long, and you can choose which side you want that to be on. The trigger in it is an AR Gold trigger, I believe. This is a very light trigger, but it does have a very weak reset, which is interesting. I can shoot this gun pretty quickly. It does have a very weak reset, so if you are used to very strong reset, or if you like a strong reset, this might not be for you. Because this is a fixed magazine gun, I like to put Ambi bolt catches on the gun that can be used in a variety of ways. This way, I have used the Phase 5 lever, which allows me to lock the gun open to the rear and close the bolt from one side. Bad levers work. The Phase 5 is just what I happen to use. I had to machine a little bit of material away for it to work with this lower receiver. I'm not going to talk about the lower receiver because the way that I acquired it is not a way that you can acquire it anymore. So if you want an AR pistol, go to a gun store, get it from them as a single shot or a bolt action repeater, make it fixed magazine, boom. The fixed magazine setup that I have on this gun, as you can see, there is no visible thingamadig on the button. This has a Hogue Freedom Fighter on it, which makes it fixed magazine. The rear pin is the best rear pin on the market. It is the AR Maglock King pin, which allows you to open the action just a little bit, close it up. When you open the action up, you can drop the magazine. Let's talk about everything else. The upper receiver, the flashlight, the Surefire Warden, and the charging handle, the Hollow Sun, this little charm that I have here, and this little charm here with the gold bolt carrier group, which I believe is from F1 Firearms. It's a titanium nitrided gold bolt carrier group. This whole upper and the buffer spring and buffer weight were provided to me by K Tactical Weebs. They are a interesting company. They make anime-inspired ARs, which some of you might think is cringe. Some of you might also be me. But they make very good stuff. This is a 5.5-inch AR-15 barrel out of 5.56. So 5.56 out of a 5.5-inch barrel, not the most practical thing in the world. You're getting about, with 62 grain ammo, I tested it today, I got about 1700 FPS on average, with a high of 18 and a low of 1670. So about 1700 FPS with 62 grain 5.56. Not the fastest, not the most deadly, not the most capable at distance, but it's pretty neat. The barrel on it is gold. You can't really see that very well because it's very short and completely covered by the handguard, which is an SLR handguard. This upper and this setup is actually very neat. It has a very interesting recoil pulse to it. It's very slow and heavy. You can definitely reset the trigger before it's fully back on target and back and ready to go, because it's just such a slow pulse. You would think if you've shot a lot of short AR pistols, they tend to be a little jumpy. This one is jumpy, but it's more slow and bouncy, but it comes right back, and it's actually very easy to shoot fast. It does move a lot, but when you're shooting a gun this small, this light, it's not going to be the most practical. It's very cool. I'm very thankful that they sent out the entire upper and trigger because that allowed me to do something very cool, which is turn this gun into any other weapon. So because it's under 26 inches and it has a vertical foregrip, this is not a pistol. This is an any other weapon. In the state of California, if you have an AR-15 pistol that started its life as a pistol, has never been a rifle, has never had a stock, is under 26 inches of overall length, you can fill out an ATF Form 1 I went on the eForms website and I filled that out. When it came to getting my fingerprints, I went through a company called Wajtek Weaponry. There's a variety of places that you can use online to send in your fingerprint cards that do services that will convert them to an electronic file, and that's what I did. So I went through Wajtek, I got my fingerprints converted into an electronic format. I went on the ATF website, I filled out the Form 1, I explained in part of it that my intent was to build an any other weapon that would be, gave it the details, and said that I intend to put on a vertical foregrip on an AR pistol that is under 26 inches in overall length. And because of that, I would need to get a stamp for a AOW. Before that, the stamp cost me $200. And now $200 just to put a vertical foregrip on your AR? Dumb. I had to pay the ATF $200 to do this. To put this on, I could legally own this grip for all my other guns, but if I wanted to put it on this gun, I had to pay the ATF $200. And if you don't pay $200 to the ATF, hide your dogs, hide your kids, hide your butthole. It's not going to be a good time for you if you ever get caught with that. Now, speaking of getting caught, let's talk about the state of California. Well, with the state of California, we have very few NFA firearms that we can realistically acquire. If you have an AR pistol, you can actually make it an any other weapon. What does that benefit you? How does that benefit you in the state of California? Well, what I'm about to explain to you is pretty philosophical, but it's worth thinking about because ARs in the state of California are going to get you attention from the police. And if it gets you attention from the police, it might get attention from the district attorney and the DOJ. And they might want to destroy your life. And because of that, I want to talk about why I got this AOW stamp. There is an argument that has been floating around online from people on CalGuns, people on the internet, and they have good rationale behind it. Do I personally 100% buy into this reasoning? Not really. It's pretty far-fetched, and I'll explain why I'm not super on board with it, but it's worth talking about for two reasons. One, you can do AOWs in the state of California. A lot of people didn't know that, so I'm trying to provide some education on that. If you actually want a guide on how to fill out the AOW stamp, just go online. There's plenty of resources that explain everything on the eForms website of what you would have to put in and why you would fill it out, how you would answer the questions and fill it out. I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole other video in itself, and there's better resources in non-video format that can explain that to you a lot better. The reason in the state of California you would want to do this is because if you have an AR-15 pistol, right? Let's say you have a 10-inch AR pistol. It's a 5.56 or 300 blackout. You don't have a vertical foregrip on it. It's fixed magazine. It's semi-auto. You acquired it legally, and you believe that you have a legal fixed magazine AR-15 pistol in the state of California, and you think to yourself, well, ATF just said braces aren't stocks, or ATF just had to agree that braces aren't stocks because of the FPC. I'm going to put my brace on, or I already have a brace on, and now I'm more comfortable using my AR pistol at the range with my brace. In the state of California, that might get you into some trouble because the state's definition of an SBR and the federal definition of an SBR are different. There isn't really a definition of what a brace is. Brace does not have a definition in the California Penal Code, and because of that, the brace could be considered by a DA and by a judge as a stock. It wouldn't take much legal finagling from calling in an expert for a DA that's really wanting to get you to tell the court and tell the jury and whatnot that this brace right here is a stock. It wouldn't take a whole lot of work for them to put forward a compelling argument that could get you put in jail for a long time. So this right here, this brace in the state of California, putting it on your AR pistol might get you into some trouble because the DA might just want to ruin your life. The DOJ might want to ruin your life. If you get your any other weapons stamp, you go through the process to say that this gun is intended to be fired like this. This gun is intended to be fired with two hands. The AOW stamp makes it exempt from the SBR laws and that little loophole. It doesn't allow you to put a stock on it. You still have to go with the brace if you want something on the back of your buffer tube. But making it an AOW potentially provides you a little bit of protection from those DAs. It makes it so that you would be in possession of a firearm that is explicitly designed and registered with the ATF as not intended and designed to be shouldered. But this gun, I've registered it with the ATF, and I've declared that this is not a rifle, pistol, or shotgun, and it does not have a stock. That little paperwork trail provides you protection from the government, and we all know that the state of California is full of DAs that want to screw over gun owners. All it takes is one bad cop in one bad jurisdiction where the DA really wants to hammer you. And that's really a big reason to consider going down the route of getting your stamp for an AOW. Now let's talk about whether or not I feel the personal need to get an AOW stamp for all my AR pistols. Personally, no. I have showcased a lot of AR-15 pistols on this channel with pistol braces. I'm actively suing the state of California in 2 lawsuits, one of which Boland versus Bonta and one of which May versus Bonta, which is me. And the DOJ has not come after me. The DOJ in the state of California have reason to go after a lot of people. But when it comes to firearms, they have a very big incentive to go after me. Because if they come after me and I'm no longer able to legally own firearms, that would benefit them in the lawsuits that I'm involved in. Do I think that I need to go out and pay $200 for an AOW tax stamp for every AR pistol I know or own? No, not really. But you might want to, because it would offer you a chance at protection against a potentially overzealous DA. Now, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I'm going to leave a link, if I can, to the source of this sort of discussion that's been online. There's a guy named W.M. Weiss on Twitter that he was the original source of this discussion on forums, and he's pretty well respected in the community. It's a good argument. Like, he makes a good argument, and it's worth considering that argument if you're going to own guns in the state of California. Obviously, I'm not telling you to do anything. Do whatever you want. Live your life how you want to live it. Make your own choices. I'm just trying to give you some information so that you can make the best choices possible for you and your specific instance and use case and lifestyle. I'm going to be doing a video soon. So the reason that I filled out this stamp first and not my 12 gauge pistol grip only AOW was because I wanted to see if I could even get this stamp within a reasonable time frame. The time frame for my stamp took 40 days, exactly 40 days. I wanted to see if this was going to take a year, 200 days. But it seems like the Form 1s are coming back in about 30 to 40 days. A lot of people doing Form 4s for suppressors in other states, a couple days at most. But the Form 1 for an AOW took me 40 days. I didn't want to start the process of doing the 12 gauge super shorty before I knew how long this process was going to take, because if it was going to take 200 days, a year and a half, I didn't want to start talking to gunsmiths and really getting on their wait list and putting together and trying to acquire or source or find parts online to make a super shorty before I knew how long it was going to take. So now that I know that it took about 30, 40 days, I will be doing a video in the future on my future 12 gauge super shorty. I don't have it yet. It's going to take a good amount of gunsmithing work. So I'm going to fill out the form. It's going to take 30 to 40 days. Then it's going to take a good amount of time for whoever I have do the work to take that barrel down to about 10 inches. So it's going to take some time. Let me know what you think. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.